On the government order of the day.
Adjourn debate on the Prime Minister's statement and the amendment proposed to it.
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Well, Mr Speaker, here we are at the end of another frightening question time from the opposition, who quite frankly tried their scattergun approach again and got absolutely nowhere. But, Mr Speaker, I am going to take some of my time today doing something that I think is rather controversial. I am going to disagree with the Prime Minister. I am going to disagree with the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister says that Labor are the TPP party or the two-position party. Mr Speaker, I think he's wrong. I think it's the multi-position party. Actually, I think we could take it well and truly a few steps further and say that they really are the multi-position party. In fact, they've got more positions than a yoga master. And it may interest members of the House to know, and those that might be unfortunate enough to be listening, that we all know how sort of disunited they are, and there's no real unity. And that's been was sort of Andrew Little's stance last year, was he'd try and get them all a team, players, and working together. So what they decided they would do, and of course this is all the talk around the Beehive and all the talk aroh Parliament, is they have been having team-building exercises with yoga classes. Yeah, no, they have. They really have. And so they all get together and they do these team building. Everyone's involved. I mean, there's a smorgasbord of arms and legs kind of flying around. I don't just mean because they're ripping each other apart. And it's a bit weird, but it is true. So let's go through some of the positions that they've been doing in their yoga classes. So first of all, team, there is the triangle pose. And I'm not going to do any of these, you'll be pleased to know, but that is arms pointed above your head, except how you do it Labor style. So how you do the triangle pose Labor style is, of course, you have at least three positions. So those three positions, for example, might be the flag. So their website says they're for a change of flag. But publicly, they're against the flag, but then privately, they're for the flag. So that's the triangle pose when you're actually trying it. Then Andrew Little is leading the, and these are all actually true yoga poses, I'm quite proud to say, the 8-angle pose. The 8-angle pose. And I'm not even going to go into how you angle your sort of arms or legs to get yourself into an 8-angle pose, but except on how you do it Labor style. So Labor style are, of course, the 8 positions of the TPP. Yeah, so they have at least 8 positions of the TPP. So they're for trade, but they're against the TPP, but they might vote for some of the ledge, but they won't vote for others. They've got different members with different stances. Some are allowed to say they've got that stance, some are not allowed to publicly say they do, and if they do, then they're bullied and told that they have to apologise. So then they're not united, and then they don't think they would repeal it if it does get voted through. And if you're confused, that's up to 8 positions, and so are they, right? So then we've got, actually the party is very good at the yoga pose of the standing split. Yep, the standing split. And I'm just going to leave that one to your own imaginations. It is painful, particularly if you're David Shearer. Hey, it is really painful because you've got this stance, this thing you actually believe in, you put it forward, you go out there and say what your stance is, and then of course you're a standing split, so you've then got to apologise for it. And it really is he's actually, let's be fair, David Shearer is spending a lot of time doing the downward facing dog. Yeah? Which is a popular yoga pose, and he is definitely doing the yoga. Then we've got Phil Goff, and this is the shoulder pressing pose, which is a bit nicer to sort of describe than some of the others that I've been trying to describe. That's when you don't have to be united with your team, so you can actually be on the side of the public because you know that's more popular because you desperately want to be voted in as mayor. So instead of actually taking the stance of your party, you're going to take the stance of the overwhelming view of the public who's in support of the TPP, and you're allowed to say it because your team's so bloody happy to get rid of you if you get voted in. So you're then allowed to go out and do, of course, the shoulder-pressing pose and stand for mayor. Then, of course, there's a favourite, which is the peacock pose. The peacock pose, of course, being often led in the caucus by Phil Twyford. So Phil Twyford leads the peacock pose. That's where, of course, it's all feathers and bluster. So really you go out there and say you're against community housing providers getting money from the government to support social housing, but then you say you're for it in a speech, and then you stand up in the House and bluster and then go out, and so really all over the place. And I see Jacinda Ardern's not happy with my speech, but then that's because she'd rather do Bikram yoga because she thinks she's hot, you know. So you've got to have that kind of hot, and the heat comes in, and that kind of helps as well. So now we've got the changing positions. That is something that Labor's very good at, because when you're in your yoga class, you've got to go for your changing positions all the time. It's kind of stop, take hold, change positions. Good examples of that. Good examples of that. Remember when we had the plan to dock beneficiaries' payments unless they vote? Yeah, no, you might have forgotten that one. This is now called the high lunge fire your party secretary if you open your mouth pose. Yeah, so they're just odd. We've got David Cunliffe, a couple of quick ones. He's the corpse pose, so it's kind of unfortunate there. Calvin Davis doing the lotus pose, which is pretty much sort of scatter and get lots around and hope that something sticks even though you haven't got your facts right and you're actually not getting there. And I'm going to end with here, which is a new pose that they've invented, which is the Chicken Little pose. And Grant Robertson's good at this one. Grant Robertson likes Chicken Little pose. It's the doom and gloom. You actually sit there and do nothing. To be fair, you just sort of sit there with your grumpy look on your face and just go, actually, New Zealand's rubbish, nothing's going well, everything's going really badly, everything's really, really, really bad, and hope that someone believes you, because then that'll mean they'll want to change a government and you don't actually have to stand for anything yourself. So that is the talk everything down, going nowhere, the sky is falling pose that we see from the Labour. Let's contrast that with the balanced actual poses of this government. Yeah? Let's challenge that with where we're at the moment on sort of the ideas of, I don't know, 5.3% unemployment rate, more New Zealanders working, average wage gone up by $10,000 under this government, 175,000 jobs that have been introduced, on track for over another 170,000 to 2020, the way that it's going. Let's actually look at, and let's be clear on what we stand for. We stand for free trade. We stand for New Zealanders to get more money in their businesses so that they can employ more people, so that they can actually pay them more, and we can see that happening. So the Prime Minister says it often, and it is true. You know, we won't get rich by selling to ourselves. We will by providing smart services and products that the rest of the world need, that we can then take the tariffs off, which mean more money in the pocket of businesses, which mean that they will develop more technology and research, which means more jobs, which means higher paid wages. And that means a progressive New Zealand, and that is really where we stand as far as New Zealand standing for what it knows. Let's think about some of the things that we're going to see introduced this year alone. So increasing paid parental leave. That increase is going to 18 weeks on the 1st of April, sorry. We've already extended those free GP visits. Talking about the welfare changes that are going through this year, and just the difference that will make in people's actual pockets when they look at it. Some of the big things that we're seeing tackled by this government, so more targeted as services, and you're seeing that across welfare and health and education and across the justice services. The economic growth, and I want to really commend the regional economic growth products that we're seeing. The difference that that's going to make in Northland. It's not just talk, it's actually real actions, real money, which leads to real jobs and makes that big major difference. Areas throughout New Zealand that have so much potential and are tapping into that tourism dollar, which quite frankly is etching well up past 6% of GDP and making a real difference. The backing up of those policies that are going through, led by Stephen Joyce and his team in that economic development, is the stuff that will most certainly make the difference. So let's just compare the two parties in 2 seconds flat. One that's aspirational, believes in this country, is getting out there and is doing the hard work. Others that don't know where they stand, what they stand for, and quite frankly can't even stand united in a position. Mr. Speaker, it is a pleasure to support the Prime Minister and his statement to the House.